Good morning, everyone. I'm Marilena Tarantino from POLI.design, and today I will be moderating the presentation of the Specializing Master in Premium Design Management. Please feel free to use the chat box to submit any questions you have, which we will address in the second part of the session. Now, let me introduce the speaker, Lorenzo Morganti. I leave the floor to you.
Thank you, thank you. Hi everybody, I'm very glad to be here in order to introduce the Master of Premium Design Management. As you see, the faculty are of course Professor Ingaramo, Professor Dell'Acqua with a long expertise in teaching and together with the family of Politecnico, and I'm very glad of course to be the coordinator of the teachings. But let's introduce briefly the Master, so to also leave time for you for your questions and possible answers. The Specializing Masters is actually Design and Management. This is important because one of the keywords would definitely be cross-sectionality, because we try, of course, to analyze altogether issues coming from the field of management, like marketing, pricing, customer relationship management, licensing, together, of course, with design. So the process hands-on, and this is something of course we strongly and firmly believe in, the connection of these two areas, especially within the field of premium products, that is to say the so-called affordable luxury. So it is connected to luxury, and any time luxury arises from of course a very good quality product at the core, and then communication, experience, and this is why, of course, we added a part dedicated to management. The goals are, therefore, those to create a common ground also between different backgrounds. What am I referring to? The Premium Design Management Master is open to students with different backgrounds, and in time, this is of course would be the ninth edition, and in time we had experience, of course, students coming from very different fields like business and economics, design, interior design, at times fashion, and we have always helped them creating a common ground, a common language, because as I was just saying, we do believe that at the very center of a good and luxury product, we do have a product. That is to say, no marketing to just sell ice in the North Pole, but rather a super good quality product at the center, and then super good marketing, super good experience, which is also another keyword for this master. Of course, the structure of the master is created in order to align with these objectives. This is why we have a strong partnership with 24 Ore Business School. That is to say, all of the courses dealing with design will be brainchild of professors, professionals, and companies cooperating and teaching with Politecnico di Milano and the family of Poli.design, as those courses focusing on management will be, of course, delivered by the professors and the professionals from 24 Ore Business School, that is, of course, a very famous management school in Italy. And this is how, of course, we created this connection between these two different fields of interest. As far as the structure in time is conceived, we will be starting from November 2025 for an overall amount of 50 hours of teaching activities that will be made of both in-class lectures, but also company meetings, field trips, then workshops, and then of course we believe that it's highly important for students to start learning time management. So how do we deal with this? We have a first part of the master which is mainly happening in class, so that both the classical in-class lecture and the workshops will happen within say the safe environment of the campus of the university, and then we will little by little lead you to be able to manage your time, to start with an internship, which of course will be something that will happen within a real company, so in a company environment, and then finally the final exam after, of course, your dissertation, which will be, of course, something that you will create on your own. So to little by little reduce the gap that might at times exist between university and the world of the professionals, the world of the companies, to let you experience all of these different steps, so to be able to finally build your career on your own. And of course, these are the training modules that will be presented and introduced throughout the lectures and also the workshops. As you can see, we have a first area, which is the one we call and define as the pillars of design. In this, for instance, you will have a brief overview of history of design and fashion. Fashion will also be analyzed, not in order to be the main focus, because we intend luxury as a very, very cross-sectional area of interest where high-end furniture, but also high-end products, hospitality, food, and of course fashion comes into play. And this is why you will have these pills dedicated to the history of design and fashion, but also, of course, an overview on design leadership, on design strategies, which will introduce all of the students so to, of course, match possible differences in terms of background, as I said before. Then, of course, we have an area focusing on product and brand design. This is where we will invite several companies to come also in class, have discussions with both the professors and the students, and there will be indeed an area dedicated to the values of communication design, which is probably the best connection between design and marketing, because this is where the two areas actually overlaps. And finally, an area dedicated to retail and brand experience, which is an area I am particularly interested into, because I am one, of course, of the professors of this area also. And this is where you have the final touch point between the brand and, of course, the final consumer. So it is built little by little, also as far as the theoretical analysis and lectures are regarded, as a step-by-step process to let you better understand how this world of luxury actually works. And finally, as you can read here, there is the part which is specifically dealing with business, with the business world, which will, of course, analyze marketing, to start with a brief introduction, so to again allow even students coming from the fields of design or from very different fields who are not trained into the area of marketing to understand the task and the brief that they will be provided by the professors. A module dedicated to pricing, to customer relationship management, and to licensing. And these are, of course, the teachings that, as I said before, will be held in collaboration with 24 Ore Business School, with, of course, experts about the sociology of consumption, brand image, so to complete the course. What are the professional outcomes? As a very first thing, as I said before, cross-sectionality being an objective, we do expect to create a common language and a common ground, so to help the future professional, either they will be designers or marketing manager, to understand the relevance of these two areas, management and design. And secondly, and also considering the previous experiences of our former students during their internship, many of them started dealing with marketing, many actually worked as store manager assistants, visual merchandisers, also on merchandising. Another, of course, area which is currently very, very important in this field is becoming the social media management, which is also connected to those communication values which I previously mentioned. So this would be the widest possible range of professional outcomes. And if you were asking yourself why choosing this master, I would certainly say that the field of luxury, both affordable and exclusive, super top exclusive luxury, over the last years has constantly grown. This means what? This means that, of course, we have seen crisis, we have had many problems. The master started before the pandemics, and we have been analyzing the sector of luxury throughout the last decade. And for instance, luxury, the world of luxury has been the one that recovered faster. So they could actually overcome all of the problems and all of the impact that they faced during the pandemic, and they are now still growing and growing. And more importantly, I would also add that it's within the area of luxury that companies and brands are actually investing more and more in research, in development, in new communication formats, in new technologies, so to say, in one word, in advancement. So that there are many good reasons because of the innovation values and of the vitality of this area to, of course, start considering this sector as your possible as your possible future and as a possible, let's say, source for jobs, occupations, and work. And of course, I would now pass on the
Professor.
microphone.
So, I'll take the floor again to provide more details about the application process for next edition of Premium Design Management, which will begin in November 2025. On the Specializing Master webpage on the POLI.design website, you will find the full list of required materials for the selection phase. By clicking on the Apply button, you will be able to create your personal account and upload the necessary files. The application will then be completed on the Politecnico di Milano website by uploading the documents related to your academic qualifications. If you need assistance during this phase, you can book a call by scanning the QR code. There are two main steps to follow. The first one is the selection step, which must be completed no later than 60 days before the course starting date, and the second step, that is the enrollment step, to be completed within 45 days. Please note that applications are processed in chronological order and spots are limited, so don't wait for the last minute for the application. Additionally, by uploading your documents, you will already be eligible to attend the next round of interviews that are scheduled on May 22nd and May 26th. You can find the course fee listed in this slide, along with our promotional policy designed specifically for this program, an initiative to support the design potential of those who choose Poly.design. In particular, I'd like to highlight the partial exemption of 25% in memory of Gianluca Spina that is valid for the application received by June 30. Here the other promotion. And now we can move to the Q&A session. Let me check in the chat box the questions received. So the first one is the master focused only in fashion or in general to luxury products, including, for example, cars, yachts? Are the case studies only in the field of fashion?
Yes, of course, there are case studies in the field of fashion, and no, it's not only focusing on fashion. What we generally analyze is the point of view of Alta Gamma. Alta Gamma has a family of products that they define as personal luxury goods, which, for instance, excludes cars generally, but I know that some professors also introduced high-end cars as possible, let's say, references. But when we analyze it, let's say from a managerial point of view, we tend to focus on this, which are the so-called personal luxury goods, which is, of course, leather and bags, so small leather goods, fashion, but also jewelry, high-end furniture, hospitality, wines and spirits, and also experiences that are connected to travel generally. So this is what is currently defined as the very wide world of luxury, which we will, of course, analyze throughout the master.
Thank you. I have another question. Should the candidates have specific skills to be admitted in the master course?
Well, the requirements is, of course, for the candidates to have a bachelor. So this is, of course, a specializing master. But what we aim to is not, of course, to change the background of a student. So we try rather to do the opposite. We try to evaluate the background of a student. This is why we also insist a lot on anytime a brief and a workshop is defined, we insist a lot on you to create groups to be cross-sectional in turn, so that everybody joins with their own background, with their own experiences, because as I said before, actually one of the main objectives would be that of creating a common ground. Between what? Between, of course, peoples coming from different fields of studies. This is why we generally don't ask a specific background, and in time we have had many students coming from these two main areas that are business and administration, marketing, and of course design. And we have always pushed the students, designers, and say future perspective managers to work together to stay tuned and focused on an objective. As, let me tell you, it would happen within a real luxury company.
Okay, related to the background, I have another question. If I have a background in interior design, can I be eligible?
Yes, absolutely. We have had several students with this background. Generally, of course, they are super good anytime it's a matter of visualization. And this is why, as I was saying, the average group would be, suppose, a student with a background in marketing and economics and a student with a background in design, either it be product or interior design, because they would join forces. And then, after all, when, for instance, sketching, suppose, the strategic proposal for a new pop-up store for a luxury company like Bulgari or another possible company, those skills would be needed, and of course we will train you to work together and to keep an eye on, of course, the common objectives, which are at the end of the day good communication for the and good experience for the final consumer. I believe that another key word is, of course, that of experience design, because we do believe that experiences in these fields must be designed and should not just be let happen.
Okay, I have another question. I studied interior design and product design, and I'm really interested in retail design. Do you think, is it mainly business oriented, or does it also involve materials and project-based design work?
It of course involves both. So this is something, of course, that will depend on what you wish to do in your future. So we are offering you elements so that if you prefer the managerial side, you will actually learn how to manage this. But we, as I just said, do believe that these experiences, these campaigns, this communication process also need, of course, the skills like the one that you have in interiors or in product, because yes, a store is also made of displays, is also made of materials, is also made of the look and feel of what the customers actually touch, and this is fundamental. So we generally teach a marketing manager this is crucial, that it's not just a matter on how good you are in communicating, you also need the real physical touch point to convey the quality of a brand. And at the same time, of course, we try to teach designers that having a super good store might not be enough, and it's actually never enough, because there's an entire, of course, management process that needs to be considered, including, of course, the communication, the social media management, the building of a brand, the brand image, so on and so forth.
Okay, just last question. What does the practical part of the course consist of? What kind of project will be carried out?
Well, I already mentioned a quick example that could be, for instance, that of a pop-up store, so which is pretty cross-sectional. So it's a good example of what I refer to when I speak of common grounds and cross-sectionality. Students would, on average, be asked to create a new pop-up store for a luxury brand. We generally select a series of interesting luxury brands. At times, they also participate and join in. We had, of course, companies providing us with their feedback on the proposals sketched out by the students. And this is generally interesting because this allows them to work not only on the hands-on process of design, of course, concept level, so that anybody can work together at the same level, no matter what the background. But we also, of course, focus, as I was saying, on the design of the experience. That is to say, the entire, of course, perception of what is happening when purchasing something. Last year, we also had a very interesting brand-led workshop that was dedicated to jewelry, and this is also this also was focusing a lot on communication. That is to say, the main brief actually asked the students to adapt the displays and the in-store communication campaign for the brand Longines, which is a very popular, of course, watches brand.
Okay, thank you. We don't have any other questions, so I would like to thank you, Professor Morganti, for being here, and stay connected for the next presentation.
Thank you. Bye.